Hello world and welcome to Podcast in A Minor, where I bring you the weird little songs I write, and I give you the stories behind them. Weird stories, funny stories, freaky stories, or whatever the world gives us in its glorious mystery. And now, for today's opening song. Bread and butter in the morning is the poet's food, with honey and a cup of Ceylon tea, or maybe 2 or 3. What's your brandy and meat? What would you eat? What's your ambrosia poet on my street? What fuels your magical words? A pie of exotic birds, or a platter of grapes and curds? Lemon pie, you make a poet cry. Lemon pie, make the angels sigh. Lemon sky, who's that guy? These things are a poetic concern. Pigs and goat cheese, olives and chickpeas, plates of milk duds, apples and rosebuds, cream whip, lucky whip, rounds the poet's ambrosia. Dig in before the hunger slows ya. Pour out a glass of spirits, then pour your dazzling lyrics. A pina colada with marshmallows, on your way to the poet's gallows. To the dirt on a swinging cello, pass over another marshmallow. Da 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 da, da 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 da. Hello world and welcome to Podcast in A Minor. I am Amy Zollers-McAnally, a poet and an artist, and I'm in one of my moods. You just heard Poet's Food on the Rickenbacker 620 12-string electric guitar, Blue. Woo, I switched it up finally. And it's National Poetry Month. For the occasion, let us bring together 2 of my favorite things, poets and food. To start, one of my own poems about food titled Butter Cake. If you laid them down end to end, the butter cakes I baked for his breakfast those years, they would have led me home to Kansas City. Sunday evenings regular, a butter cake 8 inches round, cushioned and crowned with chocolate frosting, emblem of the 20th century housewife. Cakes men love, said the cookbook cover, kitschily, kitcheny, filled with recipes and brittle cartoon ads of disgruntled husbands and weeping wives and fallen cakes. My cakes were brilliant, thanks to recipes, repetition, and regulated electric oven temperatures, and standardized cake pans. I'm no fool. Not anymore. Cakes men love, sang the cover, and truthfully, cakes being highly lovable, their secret tiresomely shrouded. Of the end. Thank you. Butter cake. And now, after that, we have a moment of wine and spirits, if you will. A gasping connection to the Irish poet William Butler Yeats. I was looking up ghosts in poetry for my job in the elementary school behavior room. You know, like the kids in school suspension and they need work to do. So why not force a little poetry on them? I found All Souls Night by W.B. Yeats, published 1922. I read the first stanza and I realized I had described ghosts enjoying a little drink in a sort of similar way to William Butler Yeats without ever having read his poem until just days ago. All Souls Night by William Butler Yeats, epilogue to A Vision. Midnight has come, and the great Christchurch bell and many a lesser bell sound through the room, and it is All Souls Night, and 2 long glasses brimmed with muscatel bubble up on the table. A ghost may come, for it is a ghost's right. His element is so fine, being sharpened by his death, to drink from the wine breath, while our gross palates drink from the whole wine. Part 2, Ghosts. This is my own poem, wherein we discuss drinking the wine breath, as it were. I like him. He sure can mix a drink, a substantial one, with a faint blue glimmer and lavish ethereal cherries. When he asks my name, I can't find it in my mind. December? December was important somehow. His eyes draw back, nearly squinting. Did I get it wrong? His gaze lands forceful on the surface of the bar. Intense upon the highball glasses, fierce wherever it lights. Fire. The blue of his large and almondine eyes spread their luminescence to whatever they touch. His mind is otherworldly, I deduce, clean and strange, its garnet skies raining quicksilver and galaxy opals, gushing fearless, stabbing art while he lived, before his hair caught fire. And still it burns, waving its gentle blue flames, cartoonish in their languor, gaslight tendrils reaching, vanishing to pointed tips, and regrouping, lava lamp lullaby. I name his specialty drink the lava lamp lullaby. Tasting a drink in death, it spins. Molecules of deep-hued bombastic essences orbit the molecules of me, sky swimming in perfume of a banquet. I can't recall why I know him. He seems to remember more than I do. Who is this, with those iridescent stones for eyes? We always wind up at the swanky bar in the train station. He knows why. And the end. That is part 2, Ghosts of Two Ghosts Share a Sweater. Wassail to the Mausoleum Cakes, Christmas Ghost Stories and Poems. A volume available on Amazon.com by Amy Zollers McAnally, but I think it was Amy Zollers then. So the ghosts drink the wine breath, says WB. Tasting a drink is orbiting molecules, says I. What a thrill to make that connection, however tenuous it might seem to others, with W.B. Yeats. I've always had a thing for him. And the same is true of breakfast poetry. And here is some from the poet Robert Service. And he is said to have composed his first verse, A Grace, on his 6th birthday. And here it goes. God bless the cakes and bless the jam. Bless the cheese and the cold boiled ham. Bless the scones Aunt Jeannie makes and save us all from belly aches. Amen. And next, his poem titled Breakfast, so dear to my heart. For one thing, my first poetry Instagram was called @BreakfastPoet. Hopefully soon, I plan to release some of those early poems with their attending photos in a volume titled Now They All Know What a Creep I Am. And don't forget the chapbook, Maple Syrup Collides with Ham, containing at least 30 breakfast poems, one for each day, of National Poetry Month 2022, entitled in honor of Agent Dale Cooper of Twin Peaks. That can be found in A Howling Breakfast of Moon Soda, 4 chapbooks in one, of the third one being Maple Syrup Collides with Ham. But onward to the breakfast poetry of Robert Service, Breakfast. Of all the meals that glad my day, my morning one's the best, pervade me on a silver tray, immaculately dressed. I rouse me when the dawn is bright. I leap into the sea, returning with a rare delight to honey, toast, and tea. My appetite was razor-edged when I was in my prime. To eggs and bacon I was pledged, Allah, the march of time. For now a genial old gent with journal on my knee, I sip and take with vast content my honey, toast, and tea. So set me up for my delight, the harvest of the bee, brown crispy toast with butter bright, salon, 2 cups or 3. Let others lunch or dinner praise, but I regale with glee, as I regard with grateful gaze, just honey, toast, and tea. Robert Service, glorious. I am not kidding. I stumbled on that poem mere days ago, and I went home and had toast and tea for dinner with honey or peach jam. I forget, but it was delightful. And I did read both of those Robert Service breakfast poems on Breakfast Poetry Live, which happens every day in the month of April. Every April for the last 4 years. This is the 4th year, I should say. And also, that's one that somebody had ready-made as a worksheet. A teacher shared on the internet, and I found it while searching for poetry stuff that would be appropriate to foist upon children in school suspension, 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. Ready-made, the poem and questions for them to answer, and I think 3 or 4 of them did do. So, now, continuing with some food-related poetry from Robert Herrick, 17th century poet of To the Virgins to Make Much of Time. Significant from its scene in Dead Poets Society, here is A Thanksgiving. Lord, I confess too, when I dine, the pulse is thine, and all those other bits that be there placed by thee, the warts, the purslane, and the mess of watercress, which of thy kindness thou hast sent, and my content makes those, and my beloved beet, to be more sweet. 'Tis thou that crown'st my glittering hearth with guiltless mirth, and giv'st me wassail bowls to drink, spice to the brink. Bless. Robert Herrick. I want to introduce you to John Keats's Porridge, Favorite Recipes of American Poets, edited by Victoria Cabe. This frequently shows up so far. This is April 12th as I record this, 12 days into National Poetry Month 2025. Frequently we have visited each morning, not every morning, but many mornings, the John Keats's Porridge book of poet recipes. And from it, Muriel Rukeyser makes an irreverent omelette fileo. This was published 1975, this book, so this poem will be, or her contribution will be from around that time. Says Muriel, on the side of variousness in life, this is my omelet. It is made with all the combining of egg yolks and milk, or, for the Weight Watchers, water, beaten, and egg whites and salt, beaten, the folding, slashing, and then the variation, fill with slices of cranberry sauce for a tart and various omelet. It is named for Phileo Nash, friend, former Commissioner of Indian Affairs, and Cranberry Prince. I do not mention my pickled watermelon rind with scotch, nor others. And that I found before I had received the book in the Marginalian. Thank you, Marginalian. And now from paperandsalt.org, Sylvia Plath, a little about her and her kitchen times. In 1957, after a day spent baking a pie, Plath worriedly wrote in her journal, "You will escape into domesticity and stifle yourself by falling headfirst into a bowl of cookie batter. It's an uncomfortable moment," says paperandsalt.org, a hint of things to come, as Sylvia did meet her end, involving the oven and the gas. Paper and Salt continues. Plath was a famous devotee of the joy of cooking, a cookbook, a basic, very much basic, like standard cookbook with just everything and always good results from the joy of cooking. It's been around for a long time. Anyway, Plath was a fan, using it as her culinary lifeline to the Americas while she was living abroad. According to Kate Moses in The Guardian, she wrote Lady Lazarus while baking the cookbook's lemon pudding cake, a seemingly improbable combination of dark themes and bright flavors that I've come to see as quintessential Plath. And Lady Lazarus, by the way, is a dark poem with themes that, trigger warnings for depression and suicide. I will not read it here or from it here, but you can always find it at Poetry Foundation and in her collections. On to Abigail Deutsch, who wrote an uncategorized piece for the Poetry Foundation called What's Cooking at Poet's House? Poet's House, located in New York City, quote, is a comfortable, accessible place for poetry, a library and meeting place which invites poets and the public to step into the living tradition of poetry. Deutsch shares a handful of books she encountered there, including the Alice B. Toklas Cookbook and a red paperback of poems by Robert De Niro, not the actor, but the painter and the father of the actor. Says the article, in a poem called Stella Artois, De Niro père writes that in a cafe, quote, behind the greenish lion, one is next to the cinema we cry in. End quote. My favorite, though, as mentioned, was John Keats's Porridge in the article. That's where I found out about it, in the article about the Poet's House. Favorite Recipes of American Poets, edited by Victoria McCabe. The title stems from a Browning couplet, Elizabeth Barrett Browning, or Robert Browning, I forget, I think it's Robert Browning. Who fished the murex up? What porridge had Keats? Earlier, I did look up what murex was. Seems like it's kind of a seafood. I don't remember. So we'll have to find out later. And from The Atlantic, the relationship between food and literature seems to be an enduring one, from literary parodies of recipes to meals from famous fiction. In late April of 1973, poet and self-taught chef Victoria McCabe decided to formalize the relationship and mailed form letter requests to 250 of the era's leading poets, asking them to share their favorite recipes. Some 150 replied, 117 of whom made it into John Keats's Porridge, Favorite Recipes of American Poets. A tiny yet enormously delightful little cookbook spanning everything from Edward Abbey's hard case survival pinto bean sludge. It's like the first recipe in the book does it over a campfire. It says use like 50 pounds of dried beans. It is really, really cuckoo. To Carol McAllister's baked stuffed sweet oranges, only about half a dozen of the recipes were written in verse. At least half, quote, were chosen for their ability to keep a poor poet full for a long time without putting too large a dent in the pocketbook, and all were tested by McCabe, her husband, and their friends. End quote. There we have it for some food poetry. I'm going to read the lyrics to the song now. Poet's food, which you heard at the beginning. Bread and butter in the morning is the poet's food, with honey and a cup of Ceylon tea, or maybe 2 or 3, if you recognize that from the Robert Service breakfast poem. What's your brandy and meat? What would you eat? What's your ambrosia, poet on my street? What fuels your magical words? A pie of exotic birds, or a platter of grapes and curds? Lemon pie, you make a poet cry. Lemon pie, make the angels sigh. Lemon sky, who's that guy? These things are of poetic concern. Figs and goat cheese, olives and chickpeas, plates of milk duds, apples and rosebuds, dream whip, lucky whip, crowns a poet's ambrosia. Dig in before the hunger slows ya. Pour out a glass of spirits, then pour your dazzling lyrics. A pina colada with marshmallows on your way to the poet's gallows. To the dirge on a swinging cello, pass over another marshmallow. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. All right. Well, catch Breakfast Poetry live every morning in April. That 4-year tradition I mentioned. We've had a lot about food. We're doing that String of Pearls poem where I do pre-written lines and put them in a can, pull one every day to assemble the complete poem with the universe's sort of influence. At the end of the month, it will be an ebook with block prints featuring poets in there. They call the Poets Bowl. So poets and bowls, lines written on the bowls. Also, catch Poetry Freaks, the sister podcast of Podcast in A Minor. Episode 10 has come out just in the past couple of weeks. There were 9 episodes, if you know already, and that would be from last summer. Then the school year started, and Poetry Freaks took a break until recently. And now there is an episode about assembling your own universe deck, which is a deck of 100 cards with 1 word per card. You have chosen the words that sort of define you. There's an easy way to do it, which is my way. There's a more complicated way to do it, invented by Michael McClure, the poet and playwright, who did a lecture at the Jack Kerouac School of Disembodied Poetics in the 1970s when I was but a wee baby. And so he invented it, as far as I know. But I did my own method of making it less complicated for myself. You can choose either way if you want to assemble a universe deck. I draw 3 from mine every morning as poetry prompts, words that sound beautiful together, and sort of talk about who you are and what your insides are all about. Well, thank you for joining me for the first National Poetry Month episode of Poetry Freaks 2025. There are several in the past years if you would like to visit them. Poems to Song and such like this one, Poet's Food. Hopefully more to come. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time. My star, the Encyclopedia Neurotica. It's my role in the play.